Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
In answer to his question about the subjects,
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Commands, talk today.
Oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up to God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And this afternoon on Talk Today, we are welcoming Danielle Coleman, Director of Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, and Shamal Clark, forecaster with the Cayman Islands Weather Service. We're going to hear about the approaching storm from them in just a moment, and we're going to give it right back to you for a quick message and a disclaimer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Commands, talk today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, and in my intro I forgot to mention that I'm co-hosting today with Mr. O.C. Orette Connor from For the Record. Welcome, Mr. Connor, as well.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
It is great to have you here. This is our first time hosting a show together, so I'm happy that we're doing it. Not necessarily under these circumstances today, but my bad for not introducing you in the very beginning there.
Not a problem.
And as mentioned, we are here with Danielle Coleman, the Director for Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, and Shamal Clark, forecaster for the Cayman Islands Weather Service. We're not going to be taking any calls right away during this first segment of the program because we need to get the information out there to the public as much as we can. And with that, I'm going to start with Shamal Clark to give us hello, welcome to the show, and please give us an update on the weather, what's going on out there right now.
All right, hi Kathy, thanks for having me. Let me just start by saying, as of 10 a.m. this morning, the Cayman Islands government issued a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands. And what that means for us, we don't have the luxury in this case of a longer time frame for a warning. It's actually right there close to us. It's actually a tropical depression at the moment, so it's Tropical Depression 9. But the reason for it being tropical storm warning is that as the system approaches us, it's forecasted to strengthen to a tropical storm. So right now it's called Tropical Storm 9. The moment it becomes a Tropical Depression 9, the moment it becomes a tropical storm, they'll assign a name. The system is moving in a northwestward trajectory at about 13 miles per hour. The current winds right now is about 35 miles per hour. If the current track holds, then what we'll see is that the system is expected to move directly over Grand Cayman, and that time is expected to be at 1 a.m. tonight. So it's really close. It's about 210 miles southeast of Grand Cayman, so that's really close to us. And things have been happening real fast, and they've been changing significantly in a short, space of time. So we do advise the public to keep abreast of what's happening in terms of information. Listen to the local news network for any updates that might be coming out from the National Weather Service here, because that will definitely give you more details in terms of onset of tropical storm force conditions, or if there's any changes in terms of the track, what does that mean for us? And in terms of the tropical storm force conditions, we expect the onset of tropical storm force winds for Grand Cayman to be at around 7:30 this evening. that really did jump significantly from this morning. If you guys were paying attention, and if the public was paying attention to the updates, so that just goes to show you that in between now and this afternoon, anything could possibly change. Now, like I said earlier, the landfall or the system is expected to move directly over Grand Cayman at around 1 a.m. and that's when we expect the heaviest stuff in terms of our precipitation and some of the strongest winds associated with the system, which is estimated to be about 35 to 40 knot winds. Now, just as in the case of Tropical Storm Grace, and I know a lot of people will question that,
yes,
whether or not it was indeed a tropical storm.
Right, as I was going to.
but I will just say in the case of Tropical Storm Grace, the kind of lost a little bit of chain of thought, but the...
As to whether tropical storm, the strength.
Yeah,
hurricane versus tropical storm.
Yeah, so the thing with it is that the wind fields are not as wide as in the case of Tropical Storm Grace. So it does not extend all the way over to the sister islands at the moment. However, given the track, there is some level of deviation that could happen between now and later on this afternoon. And if that changes, then that could change the whole dynamic for the sister islands. But right now, as it stands, the bulk of the stuff should be over Grand Cayman. Now, once the system moves through, we expect that the tropical storm force winds should desist around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So from 7:30 today to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, Grand Cayman should experience tropical storm force conditions. Again, the system is forecasted to strengthen, and there is a possibility that it's more of a low to a mid-region tropical storm right now, but it could always strengthen a little bit. So pay attention, because we could really get in excess of 40 knot winds, and the gusts, just like in the case of Grace, could get really, really high. So we saw reports of 83 knots gusts with Grace. In this case,
your measurement tools?
Yes, that's correct. So our recordings for Grace had sustained 50 knot winds, but gusts in excess of 80, so 83, 82. And that's why the conclusion was that we did have a tropical storm. So
and not a hurricane, not a Cat 1 when it was necessarily closest to Cayman.
To put a little bit of clarity to that, or to explain it a little bit, what happened was when the system was about southwest of us at 20 miles, it was a tropical storm, and it moved northwest to about 65 miles west of us.
Right.
Between that 20 miles southwest and west, it transitioned to a hurricane.
Right.
Now, what happened is, if you have a tropical storm at 63, 62 knots, and a hurricane at 64, 65 knots, then it's a very slim difference that you would actually see if you're standing or observing something. But if you have sustained winds consistently blowing at something, and then you have a gust of 80 or more hitting that object at that time, then a lot of things will topple. So you'll get the illusion that it is a lot stronger than it actually was in terms of the sustained winds. And that's why we have to be very cautious with this system, because anything, again, could happen, and we could end up with a very strong tropical storm versus a mid-region tropical storm. In terms of weather conditions to expect, the public definitely needs to be advised that there is a flood warning in effect for the Cayman Islands. We're anticipating about 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, and that's between today and tomorrow, and an additional 2 to 4 inches between Friday and Saturday. There is the possibility of a maximum of 12 inches of rainfall. This right now seems to be more so for the sister islands, and that's because a lot of the convection associated with the system is in the northeast, and if it moves over Grand Cayman, then the sister islands are directly on a lot of the rainfall and the precipitation. So that max 12 would be more for the sister islands than for Grand Cayman.
Because I wanted to ask, like, you had mentioned a few minutes ago that this storm, as it's projected to go, is not, at least right now, affecting the sister islands, and is not per se looking to affect the sister islands.
In terms of the winds.
Okay.
Yeah, so in terms of the sustained tropical storm force winds, they're just on the edge of it, but they will get gusts that would reach tropical storm force conditions.
Okay.
But the sustained winds is more concentrated over Grand Cayman at the moment.
Okay.
And just to add to that, I'm sorry, it's very loud. Last week we saw overnight that shift going from, first we were looking at the sister islands, we knew, okay, great, sister islands are not great, but as in they're the ones that get more impact. And within literally 2 hours, Grand Cayman was getting the impact and Little Cayman getting, and Cayman Brac getting less impact. So it's just so critical at this time of year to be very, very aware, and it's so dynamic, the situation. We've seen this morning how I did a soundbite at 9:45. By 10 o'clock the information was almost out of date. So it's just critical that people really are tuned in to the official sources and making sure that they are prepared for any eventuality. I know last week we didn't think rapid intensification was going to be an issue. This week is a slightly different scenario potentially.
That's correct. So last week it had seemed like the environmental conditions weren't favorable for rapid intensification. In this case, it is favorable for strengthening. So that's the reason why we're seeing that jump right now between tropical depression to a tropical storm anticipated for this evening. So they're actually the National Hurricane Center is anticipating that they will name the storm sometime during the course of the day.
Okay, we're going to pick up on that note and what those conditions might be that would, that would make things more complex for the system. So we're going to go to a commercial break and then pick up on that note when we return.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a non-for-profit member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.72% over 16,000 members, $430 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s. And today, we are still strong, secure, and are here for employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
And due to the approaching tropical storm conditions, Water Authority Cayman would like to advise the public that its offices in Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac will be closing at 1 p.m. today and will remain closed until further notice. Please continue to listen to the radio or visit their website and social media accounts for further updates. And schools closing, all public schools are closed, and closing at 1 p.m. will be Wesleyan Christian Academy, Right Start Preschool, Just for Kids Preschool, and Triple C, all closing at 1 this afternoon.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
And based on the pending weather projections, Doctors Hospital will be rescheduling relevant outpatients appointments, diagnostic services, and elective surgeries until further notice. However, urgent care services will remain uninterrupted. The Doctors Hospital Pharmacy will close at 4 p.m. today until further notice. They encourage all residents to remain off the roads, stay safe, and stay tuned to official sources, including HMCI and the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, to monitor the storm track and adhere to emergency announcements. Please call 911 immediately for all emergencies.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Radio Cayman's Talk Today program. I'm Kathy Miller. I'm hosting today with OC Orette Connor, and in studio this afternoon we are welcoming Danielle Coleman with Hazard Management Cayman Islands and Shamal Clark with the Cayman Islands Weather Service. He's a forecaster and was just giving us an update, the weather, what was going on with it, what we're looking at, the comparison last week between Tropical Storm Grace and this depression, which has not yet reached storm category. Right before the break, you had mentioned some conditions, I think last week, that didn't make it favorable for the storm to rapidly intensify, but that's not the case with the storm this week. Can you explain what those conditions would be?
All right, so I'll try my best to explain those. All right, so they'll look for several conditions in terms of sea surface temperatures, wind shear, and that kind of stuff. Mainly wind shear in this case, and last week with Tropical Storm Grace, there was a lot of wind shear that they were forecasting. That changed, and that changed drastically, and as a result, it gave the storm the ability to intensify more significantly than we anticipated initially. In this case, they are seeing that there's low wind shear and the possibility for intensification, and in a short space of time, which is why the jump from a tropical depression to a tropical storm by this afternoon, and that's what they're projecting.
In saying that, would it cause panic? Which I don't want to cause panic, but is there the possibility of even moving from a tropical storm into a Cat 1 quicker than anticipated? Is that possible to happen as well?
I will say, based on the conditions right now and the time frame for that to happen, that the possibility exists after the system has moved past Grand Cayman. So that's what it looks like.
That's a bit of a relief.
Yeah. So right now they actually have it developing into a hurricane over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. There is a possibility maybe closer to Cuba than over in the eastern Gulf. Whether or not there's a possibility over Grand Cayman, I don't think, because of the distance between us and the system at the moment. So there's not that much time between now and 7:30 this afternoon for that to happen, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. Well, 7:30, and I think, what time did you say in the morning that we could look for it to hopefully have passed us? So
the wind should die down at 6 a.m., but we will still have some showers lingering through the course of the day.
Okay. And potentially Saturday as well. Correct?
Yes, and potentially Saturday as well. And, as we stress this a lot, and I think I've stressed this a couple of times on social media and elsewhere when we get our information out, that it is saturated based on the system last week. So with this amount of rainfall that we're anticipating this time, we definitely will see some flooding. So persons, they know the area, they know the regions. I'm sure Danny will stress this a lot. Be prepared and do what you need to do in order to secure yourselves and your property. In terms of marine conditions, this is important as well. There's a marine warning in effect from today, and that's expected to linger or last through tomorrow, and then a small craft warning will be in effect for Saturday. But what kind of conditions we're expecting? Tonight, 7 to 9 feet for wave heights, and for tomorrow, 8 to 10 feet wave heights. A lot of this will be coming from the south and the east at first as the system moves towards us, and then we'll have that switch to the north and the northwest in terms of winds, and then we'll start to see some rough seas on the western side of the island as well. Probably not as strong as on the southern side, given that, again, most of the activity would be in the northeast quadrant. So right now, the bulk or the heavier wave action will be on the south and the eastern side of the island.
And I mean, last week we saw the images all over social media. Floating around might be the wrong term to use right now, but boats literally drifting down streets. Boats that were up on a dock. So people that weren't taking care of their boats, that didn't secure them, they lost. I mean, that's a huge investment to lose by not properly securing all the watercraft that you do have out there.
I think so. I mean, if you remember last year during Tropical Storm Laura, it wasn't even a tropical storm for Grand Cayman, but there was a severe weather warning out there and a marine warning. and we lost several boats. I think it was 5 or 6 boats were severely damaged last year. Last week, again, we had the same issue. Storm lines not being put up, boats not being taken out of the water when they can be. And it's just so important. It's one of those things that, we obviously promote throughout the year, securing boats at severe weather warnings. But it really is important. If you've got a couple of hours this afternoon to do so, we'd strongly advise you to do that if you do have your boat in the water right now.
Right, and I can safely say that a lot of us in the country from last week didn't take the tropical storm warning as serious as we should have, and we saw the damage that it did, and it was pretty devastating for it being a tropical storm and how it hit us. So it's just important to listen to these warnings. We're here trying to get people to prepare, to be ready, to secure themselves and their homes as much as possible. So that's definitely a point that we want to hit with people.
Every storm is so different, and this one is so dynamic and forever changing, and I think people really need to be prepared. A couple of hours this afternoon, just doing what you can. We saw a lot of people last week, running to the supermarket and doing maybe buying a tarpaulin because, again, their roof's already impacted from last week. People really, really need to be organised today.
Mm-hmm. So when these systems develop basically in our backyard, it gives us very short amount of time to prepare, for it. They also tell you that when they do develop in the Caribbean, that they have a tendency sometimes to be even more dangerous than those that come straight across the Atlantic as well. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it depends on several factors, including the time of the year. So this time of the year, we're moving closer to the peak hurricane season. The waters over the Northwest Caribbean is significantly warmer. There's a lot more energy for systems to develop over the area. So as we move towards peak hurricane season, which is September 10th, we'll see a lot more activity and a lot more intensification over this region as the systems progress. So, definitely we just have to pay attention to what's happening and the development of them, because they could happen, in a split second.
Mm-hmm. I think, OC, I remember earlier you'd asked a question before we started the show in regards to when the storm gets named. So when does that happen? Because right now it's a depression, so it's nameless as per se. And I'm asking that because I do know that there's some business owners out there that do not want to close their business until possibly very late tonight when it's a named storm and it's getting even closer to Cayman. So we know that we're expected to feel those tropical storm winds around 7:30. But I understand that some of these businesses are saying, hey, it's just a depression. Don't worry about it right now. So they're not allowing their employees either to go home and prepare as much as they can in the little tiny notice that we've had for this storm approaching.
All right, so I'll say two things to that. And the first one is they're anticipating that sometime today, I would suspect maybe 4 p.m. when the next update comes out. And then there's a 10 o'clock update tonight as well, that they might name the storm. But if I could implore people not to wait until a named storm, because the conditions exist regardless of whether or not it has a name. And I think that's the downfall, in a lot of the cases where if it's not a hurricane or it's not a tropical storm with a name, then, you don't prepare significantly. But we did start releasing severe weather bulletins yesterday.
You did, yes.
So we tried to, even though we know the conditions are there and it doesn't have a name, we try to put information out there to the public that you need to prepare for significant weather conditions, and these are the conditions. And then if it changes, then you could adapt to the changes, but at least be aware that these conditions are potential. So my advice is don't wait for a name. Just do what you need to do based on the information that has been presented, which, we know the 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, possibly the rough seas. If you have your craft out there, we do encourage all marine vessels to seek safe harbor with these kind of conditions, because this is actually similar to what we experienced with Tropical Storm Grace in terms of 8 to 10 feet wave heights.
Right.
So even though, again, it might not be a high-end tropical storm like a max tropical storm, it does have the potential to impact us in a similar manner.
Yeah. And also just remind you, again, we're compounding what the issue was last week. We've already got vulnerabilities. We're already, there's obviously the drains. We're trying to clear out the drains today with NRA again. There's still a lot of debris on the road. A lot of trees are still down. I mean, I would say for people trying to put their trees up today from last week, don't bother until next few days, because just try and secure what you can at this stage. I know we know a lot of people's houses are still flooding. Do what you can to protect yourself from this storm, and then deal with the sort of recovery and restoration of property afterwards. But securing debris at this stage, because we are already, vulnerable, is really, really important.
Right. Even yesterday, the North Church Street, part of that was closed because CUC was there installing poles and removing, I guess, damaged poles that were there and installing poles. So,
and I have to say, they've done a tremendous job. The utilities and damage clearance have done a tremendous job over the last week. But this tropical storm Grace was only 8 days ago. Mm-hmm. So doing what they've done that time is fantastic, but there's still a lot out there that needs to be done. And as a result, they are potentially missiles. The debris in your yard right now is a missile.
Yes.
So you really need to bear that in mind and not just think of it as a tropical depression, potentially tropical storm. You need to think about it. This is in addition to what is already a vulnerability.
Right. Excellent.
And while you may have similar intensity, the effect is likely to be greater because we have already been received some collateral damage from a Hurricane Grace.
Exactly.
And it seems as if if the naming goes correctly, the next one would be Ida. I believe.
I can't remember.
IDA.
You tell us,
but it's pronounced as Ido. Ida,
I think.
And then Julian, then Kate, then Larry, then Mindy, then Nicholas.
We're not going to go that
far. We're trying to be present, folks, in a moment, so let's talk about Ida.
Yeah, hopefully that we won't even reach there. I know it's likely that we're going to have more storms and whatnot, but hopefully we won't.
Yeah, and remember they did say this year should be an active year, and we're the environment is being primed for that to happen. We were fortunate in the beginning with the Sahara dust to kind of nullify some of the systems that would have developed into something, but we still aren't midway, we still aren't at the peak. So we do tell people just to pay attention to what's happening, and the possibilities still exist that we could be significantly more impacted as the season progresses.
Imagine September 10th being the peak of hurricane season, and we're still almost 2 weeks away from that. We have to go to a commercial break right now, and we will return after these messages.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Summer, the season for backyard gatherings, beach parties, office socials, and camps for kids. Make the most of your summer party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters or double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go, with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your summer with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway. Eat fresh.
And based on the pending weather projections, Doctors Hospital will be rescheduling relevant outpatient appointments, diagnostic services, and elective surgeries until further notice. However, urgent care services remain uninterrupted. The Doctors Hospital Pharmacy will close at 4 p.m. today until further notice. They encourage all residents to remain off the road, stay safe, and stay tuned to official sources, including HMCI and the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, to monitor the storm track and adhere to emergency announcements. Please call 911 immediately for all emergencies.
For the first time in over 45 years, the University College of the Cayman Islands is having an alumni homecoming gala dinner on October 28th. The event highlights the kickoff of the UCCI Alumni Network, a community of professionals helping the university and one another. If you're a UCCI graduate, join the network today and let your fellow classmates know about it. Visit ucci.edu.ky/alumni and come give us a hand with UCCI's first ever homecoming.
What do you do if you have to go to a shelter? To help you safely prepare, evacuate, and shelter while protecting yourself and others from COVID-19 this hurricane season, Here's some tips from the Public Health Department. If you must go to a shelter, be ready to protect yourself and others. Practice social distancing of at least 6 feet from others. Follow public health's preventative actions. Wash your hands with soap and water, often if possible, or use hand sanitizer, cover coughs and sneezes, and wear masks or cloth face coverings. Get your COVID-19 vaccine when eligible. Avoid sharing food and drink with anyone. For more guidance to update your emergency hurricane plans due to coronavirus, visit www.caymanprepared.gov.ky. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, hosting today with Orit Connor, OC. You know him from For the Record. And in studio this afternoon, we have with us Danielle Coleman, Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands, and Shamal Clark, forecaster with the Cayman Islands Weather Service. We were just talking about the conditions that could make the storm intensify, what those conditions could be. And OC brought up a good point about, I guess, not even a myth, but the idea that if a storm forms in the Caribbean, it could be stronger as opposed to when it forms a little further out in the Atlantic, and Shamal spoke about that. We talked about securing, the boats that are out there. Everybody who has any boats out there, what to do to keep yourself safe. But then there's also the daredevils, and we'd mentioned this during break. The daredevils that like to go out and go surfing.
You know who you are.
Absolutely. It's not a time to go to the beach and experience nature. It's not.
Definitely not. I mean, if we're telling all marine craft to seek safe harbor, I figure people would definitely want to do the same. The most important thing is that we think about others in this case. If something should happen to you while you're out there, doing something pretty dangerous or risky, then somebody has to come and assist you, and then you're not only putting yourself in jeopardy, but, the lives of others that have to, come out and assist. So just to advise everyone, stay inside. Once the all clear is given, then, you can, cautiously move around, assess your environment and your situation. But until then, just remain safe, stay indoors. And like Danny was saying, stuff are still floating around as loose projectiles, so you never know. And remember, with all the winds that we had the last time and the rainfall, a lot of the stuff are dislodged.
Right.
So it might not look like they're loose right now, but they might be because you probably didn't really check, and that might be the one object that comes fully loose during this passage of the system.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the all clear, and last week with Tropical Storm Grace, there, much to my surprise, there was a few establishments that opened hours before the all clear was given, and some of these were restaurants. And it was absolutely wild to me that these places would open. All clear wasn't given yet. And, we're always encouraging people to make sure they've stocked up on their own supplies, that they can eat at home. And there was a couple days warning with Tropical Storm Grace. So, Danielle, could you explain to us why the all clear is so important and why we don't want businesses to reopen until that all clear is given by you?
Thanks, Kathy. Again, we did see last week a few restaurants opening. It's risky to the staff themselves. It's also really important in the aftermath. We send out our utilities teams, and we send out the damage clearance teams, damage assessment teams, and we also have first responders going out to those who couldn't respond during the storm. So you've got this big group of individuals who have to do the recovery phase very, very quickly. When there's people out on the road before the all clear, and when restaurants are open before the all clear, it's incredibly destructive to our response and our recovery. So I strongly recommend any restaurant to not open before the all clear. Again, it's a danger to your staff. I appreciate right now with COVID times people are struggling a bit financially, but this is not the way to do it. So please, 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 until the all clear happens, please do not consider opening a restaurant or getting staff in there.
Is there a law or a policy that would say you're not allowed to open?
Yeah, tropical storms, we can't mandatory close places. A Category 3 or 4 hurricane is a different story. And again, emergency powers are altogether completely different. So at this stage, we can't force people to close, but we work very closely with our economic continuity emergency support team, which is led by the Chamber of Commerce. And again, they are advising today the supermarkets and other hardware companies of when to close in order to prepare the staff and get them home in time to be safe. So again, at this stage, it's just an advisory, but it's just a really sad situation when, again, you're dragging staff members out in a very dangerous predicament. So please, please, please don't do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. We'll see. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. And I think we heard during Grace of someone going into labor, I believe, as well. Yeah. So what advice would you have for those persons with medical conditions like a pregnancy in terms of their preparation? Should they consult with their physician, or should they seek to be admitted in the event?
I think that's a great question. We did see quite a few cases last week of evacuation being asked for during the storm, at the height of the storm. Now, we can't send our services out there during the height of the storm. Obviously, we have the regiment on standby and their vehicles are very strong, but at the same time, we can't risk their lives. So there's certain things we can do and there's certain things we can't do. In regards to that case, again, there was a lot of assistance by the regiment and the emergency response cluster. But at the same time, if there is anyone with medical issues and you don't feel safe in your house, we have shelters being open tonight. And again, those shelters, as a precaution, are West Bay Primary, which is an emergency medical centre, and that holds up to 335 people. The Red Cross, obviously at Holder Avenue, that holds up to 95. And then Clifton Hunter, which is 630 people, and that as well is an emergency medical centre, as well as an animal shelter. So if you have any concerns about where you are staying tonight in your own house, please seek shelter early. Those shelters are open at 4 p.m. tonight. If by chance we see a rapid intensification, we will be opening 3 other shelters across the island. And also the sister islands are readying their shelters. So those teams are ready to go. And if we need, again, because of last week and the flooding, people will experience much more flooding this week, I suspect, as a result of the compounded nature of the 2 storms together so close. So please plan that early and get ready to move. Otherwise, you could be caught out. And again, the National Emergency Operations Centre cannot come, and the emergency service just simply cannot come at the height of the storm to collect you.
Okay. So just to reiterate that, it's by 4 p.m. those 3 shelters that you mentioned will be open, which is West Bay Primary, Red Cross on Halda Avenue, and Clifton Hunter.
Indeed.
Okay.
And again, just West Bay Primary and Clifton Hunter are EMCs, emergency medical centres, as well as Clifton Hunter being an animal-friendly shelter.
Right. Wasn't Bordentown Primary one that was during Grace as well? Was that?
It was. Bordentown Primary is on our list, a secondary list. So if by chance we have rapid intensification, the 3 shelters that will open are Prospect Primary, Bordentown Primary, and East End Gun Bay.
Okay.
But again, until that announcement's made, they will not be open. But the definitely 3, the West Bay Primary, Red Cross and Clifton Hunter will be open at 4 p.m. today.
And how did things work during her tropical storm Grace with those persons who are in quarantine, especially at government facilities?
I think that's a great question. Again, Travel Cayman are part of the National Emergency Operations Centre these days. So they very much have, I think right now we have a significant number. I think the number today was 1,500 people in quarantine, not just in the public shelters, the government facilities, but some are at home. Now, I know Travel Cayman have reached out to all those individuals in their homes to make sure their homes are safe, and if they want to be moved, they can be moved. But again, with the actual speed of this thing unfolding, we need to make sure they're moved much quicker with PPE in a sanitised environment. With the quarantine facilities, the 2 Wyndham and Holiday Inn, they're obviously put on a second floor. So all the guests that we have at these during the hurricane season are put on the second floor in case this situation arises. So we do have, and we look at the elevation and so forth. So we do have some space in those quarantine facilities for more people who need quarantining. But again, you need to think about that sooner as opposed to later.
Absolutely. Okay, and I'm assuming the NEOC, I don't know if you've met already today, but will do so at some point again today.
The council met at 9 a.m. this morning and again at 11 a.m. this morning. And again, it looks like probably a full activation tonight of the National Emergency Operations Centre, or alternatively, again, it might be partial with key stakeholders making decisions. I know Travel Cayman, Hazard Management Regiment will be fully opt throughout the night. We've got the mental health hotline, which is up and running throughout the whole next 24 hours, and that number is 1-800-534-6463, as well as our call takers. Now, last year in the tropical storms, we saw calls coming in at about 15, 16 people at each storm. Last week we saw well over 150, 200 phone calls coming in just for people for advice. And again, those call takers are the cadets, a fantastic bunch of people, very committed to the response. And that number is 949 6555. So call takers, any national emergency operation inquiries, and then the mental health hotline.
946
949 6555.
949, and that's the
National Emergency Operations Centre call centre.
Okay, great. And the mental health hotline, as you mentioned, was 1-800-534-6463.
Indeed.
Okay, great. I started writing a whole bunch of other numbers down and the second number that you gave, so I want to make sure we have those right in case we have to repeat them later on in the show. Okay. We have to go to the 1 p.m. news headlines right now, and then after that we will be back with Danielle Coleman and Shamal Clark.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advance notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Department of Education Services announces all government school orientation activities planned for tomorrow, Friday, August 27th, have been cancelled. Orientation scheduled for today ended at 12 p.m. Further notifications and updates will be issued on all Cayman Islands government official platforms at gov.ky and the Ministry of Education's social media pages. In international news, there have been twin bomb attacks at Kabul airport with unconfirmed reports of at least 10 deaths. Explosions took place outside the Abbey Gate, where U.S. and British forces have been stationed, and at a nearby hotel. The Pentagon said there have been a number of U.S. and civilian casualties in what was a complex attack. What may be one of Ukraine's largest Stalin-era mass graves has been identified by researchers. The remains of between 5,000 and 8,000 people were found in 29 graves in the southern city of Odessa. The site, believed to date back to the late 1930s, was uncovered during exploration works for a planned expansion of an airport. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are believed to have died during Joseph Stalin's rule of the Soviet Union. U.S. adult film star Ron Jeremy has been indicted on 34 counts of sexual crimes involving 21 women spanning more than 20 years, Los Angeles prosecutors say. Prosecutors allege that Mr. Jeremy assaulted the women, who ranged in age from 15 to 51 between 1996 and 2019. He faces over 300 years in jail. Mr. Jeremy pleaded not guilty to the charges on Wednesday. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
In case you're tracking Tropical Depression 9, at last check, it was located at 16.9 north, longitude 79.2 west. Location is 218 miles southeast of Grand Cayman, moving to the northwest at 13 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds are 35 miles per hour. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service will continue to monitor the progress of this system. On the forecast track, the center of the depression will pass near or over the Cayman Islands tonight, the Isle of Youth and Western Cuba Friday, and move over the southeastern and central Gulf of Mexico Friday night and Saturday. The system is forecast to approach the U.S. northern Gulf Coast on Sunday. The depression is expected to become a tropical storm tonight and become a hurricane when it's near western Cuba or over the southeast Gulf of Mexico. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands.
Do you have plans to travel to the UK? You must provide a letter of certification from Public Health and your vaccination certificate issued in the Cayman Islands. If traveling to the UK via the Bahamas, the United States, Canada, Jamaica, or any other Amber List country. If you are traveling directly to the UK from Cayman, no letter of certification is necessary. Letters of certification may be requested by emailing vaccinecertification@hsa.ky. Travelers must attach a copy of their vaccination card as a screenshot attached to their email request. All requests will take 3 business days to process, and letters will only be issued within 3 weeks of a person's date of travel. Letters of certification are only needed if traveling to the UK via any Amber List country. Travelers to the UK coming directly from the Cayman Islands do not require a letter of certification.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP, 1916 to 1996. Captain Keith Tibbetts of Kimmenbrack, shipwright, sea captain, entrepreneur, businessman, farmer, hotelier, building contractor, airline agent, government auditor, and land adjudicator, was elected as a vestryman before he turned 30. He served 25 years in the Assembly of Magistrates and Vestry and its successor, the Legislative Assembly, becoming a life member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. In 1962, Captain Keith presented a petition to Sir Kenneth Blackburn, Governor of Jamaica, signed by over 75% of the registered voters in the Sister Islands, stating that if Grand Cayman decided to remain under the governance of an independent Jamaica, Kimmenbrack and Little Cayman would separate from Grand Cayman and become a crown colony under the authority of the United Kingdom. In addition to receiving many awards for heritage preservation, tourism, and community service, Captain Keith was posthumously honored in 1996 when a Russian destroyer was sunk off the northwestern end of Kimmenbrack as a dive attraction and renamed the MV Captain Keith Tibbetts.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kimmenbrack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, hosting today with OC, Oric Connor. You know him from For the Record. And in studio, we have Shamal Clark from the Cayman Islands Weather Service. And we have Danielle Coleman with Hazard Management Cayman Islands. And during the 1 p.m. news at the tail end of that, Susan did give, I believe it was a 10 a.m. weather bulletin that she still had at that time. But we do have the 1 p.m. weather bulletin that just came in. And I'm going to ask Shamal Clark to please update our listeners.
All right, sure. All right, so new information in. As of 1 p.m., the system is located now 165 miles southeast of Grand Cayman. So between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., it has moved 45 miles towards the northwest. So nothing really significant in terms of the projection to move over us at 1 a.m. That still stands. A complete update will come at 4. That might change that. So that's when the the additional information would come in. Right now, this is an intermediate report, which just gives you position. I know a question came up regarding developing into something more significant. So just to speak on that, based on the projection, that's not expected to happen over here. That's actually forecasted to happen closer to western Cuba.
Right.
And then potentially towards a major hurricane as it moves over the Gulf of Mexico and towards the southern U.S. So hopefully that probably helps to answer that. But again, things could change. We could see a strong tropical storm because the conditions are indeed favorable.
Based on the weather bulletin, the update that we did get, is the storm moving at the projected speed that was expected?
Yes, so that hasn't changed. It's still moving at 13 miles per hour towards the northwest.
Okay. And we do have a couple of questions that did come in via WhatsApp. You can
Sure.
WhatsApp us questions at 925-3261, but OC, if you want to...
One had to do, Danielle, with those persons who are currently in quarantine, were due to be tested or tested, and whether or not they will be able to leave quarantine today.
I know Travel Cayman liaising very closely with Public Health to try and get that to happen sooner as opposed to later. I guess it really depends on the lab over there at Public Health, but there's definitely moves towards that happening sooner as opposed to later.
Okay, and another one had to do with whether or not they should put up their hurricane shutters. What advice do you have for them?
I think it's a very personal choice. I mean, ultimately speaking, I always err on the side of caution. I think if you are in a vulnerable area and obviously there's a lot of debris already out there that's not secured, it's not a bad thing to do. It's actually a good practice for anything else for the rest of the season. So yeah, be careful. I mean, just do what you can do in the time that you've got, and be prepared. And yeah, if shutters is something that you do, then we would just encourage that to happen. I mean, obviously the winds aren't significant, but at the same time, there's still a lot of debris there that could actually impact your windows.
And the downside to that is that if you decide to try to do it later, you can't go out there in inclement weather to do so. So
you'll be risking your life if you do. So if you're going to do it sooner. And of course, you may just want to leave them up for the rest of the season, given what we're going through in the last week.
Well, if I could add to that as well. And what we need to realize is the system is expected to affect us overnight. So things could change overnight. And, you don't want to not prepare and something drastic should happen overnight, because then you can't see the hazards that exist clearly. And based on the forecast, the system is expected to become a tropical storm in the night, not in the daytime, when you can adjust and do what you need to do at that time. So do it while the sun is out. Prepare, do whatever you need to do. Again, I'll always say this from a meteorologist standpoint, that we provide the weather, and you could take it and use it based on what you know. And in this case, winds of 35 to 40 knots with excessive gusts or potentially over 50 knots, you should know what your structure can handle, and what effects that might have on you personally.
That's a great point, to do it now before it does turn into the tropical storm, which we're looking at around 7:30 p.m. this evening, right? So if you can get all of your outside preparations taken care of, if you have tables and chairs outside, anything that might be loose in your yard. Danielle, you mentioned the debris, so we know that a lot of people still haven't managed to get rid of a lot of the debris that accumulated from Tropical Storm Grace, and that can very likely, picked up from the wind and fly around, it could damage your homes, windows, cars. So it's a matter of being able to take care of what you can right now as soon as possible.
With the time you've got. You've got to prioritise what your tasks are. If you haven't got any food in the house, well, that's your priority. But again, trying to secure things in your garden is really, really important too.
Absolutely. You did mention, I think, you mentioned earlier about the NEOC meeting earlier this morning,
so that was
right?
a council briefing. So it's the structure as a council, so it's a much wider group, and there's, I guess, probably about 75 people there. And then the National Emergency Operations Centre, there's 17 emergency support teams, and again, that's likely to be activated tonight, either a full or a partial activation. So some of the things, again, behind the scenes, setting that up takes a bit of time. Getting all the hotlines ready to go, getting the call takers ready to go, getting the shelters up and running, doing radio checks. There's a lot that sort of goes on behind the scenes in any one of these emergencies. And of course, debris clearance and utilities are very much part of our National Emergency Operations Centre. So coordinating that response, getting drains cleared and all that kind of stuff happens today, tomorrow and the next day. But again, that's why it's so important for people just to stay inside, bunker down, get a good book, get some battery-operated radio and lights. Ideally, don't use candles because, again, that's another hazard. But just being ready to sort of bunker down for the next 24 hours. And please do not go out before the all clear.
Do you know what the estimated time is for supermarkets to close? I can't remember if you
I believe Foster's is closing today at 4 p.m. And we're waiting to hear back from the other supermarkets.
Okay, so 4 p.m. at least we know for Foster's.
Which means, again, if you haven't got food, you've only got 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 45 minutes to get that. And, from last week, the rush is it gets pretty crazy out there. So please drive carefully as well. Everyone gets a bit erratic at these kind of times. So drive carefully. But if you do need food, you'll need to go to the supermarkets earlier as opposed to later.
Okay.
Right.
Now, hopefully we won't have the power issues that we had before, but if we do, what advice do you give to people in terms of, they should, first of all, learn from the last experience that they had, and any mistakes that they may have made then, ensure that they don't make similar mistakes again. But coming from you, Danielle?
I think it's just really important to be prepared for the whole season. And actually, I say season, nowadays what we saw last year, being prepared for any eventuality, any emergency, not just storms, everything else, earthquakes, whatever. You've got so many potential hazards out there. And I think it's really important people are ready. So their personal preparedness kits are really important. We have so much information on our website, caymanprepared.ky, and things what to do, how to make that plan. Again, you don't have a great deal of time now to do that, but we're hoping that people really have listened or learned from last week and have some supplies in. Don't rush out to the supermarket unless you have to. Again, if you need tarpaulins, then you need to potentially buy them from a hardware shop. But again, please just be ready for any eventuality. Make sure your kids are involved in that whole preparedness planning, because again, it's quite terrifying for children to be exposed to this right now, and a lot of the stresses that go along that they can read. So try and get the kids involved in the whole process. But again, make sure you're prepared for lights going out potentially tonight.
Right. 4 p.m. is quickly approaching. It's 1:15, 1:16 now. So I'm one of those people that has to hit a supermarket, and not just for my own.
But, okay, this time next week when we come back, you tell us otherwise. You've got your full kit ready.
Yes. Well, and that's what's frustrating, because I was somewhat prepared for last week, and then I came into work as well. So I know that I can come into work, and they take care of us as well here at Radio Cayman, right? So that's a bonus, but knowing that, okay, I still have to stock up, and then boom, this storm came so fast. So that's the frustrating part for me, and I just hope that everybody that did prepare is not going out and over preparing in a sense.
Yeah, unless, again, you look at your pantry and see what you've got in your cupboards already.
Yes.
But again, this is going to happen throughout the rest of the season, so please, these rapid intensifications or this very quick onset of a storm is a regular part of our lives nowadays. So there really is no excuse not to be prepared for the rest of the season. We're really encouraging people to do it. Maybe not today, because we're not trying to bombard the supermarkets, but the next couple of weeks, please be ready for any eventuality.
All right. To reiterate to our listeners, if you are looking for a shelter, you don't feel safe staying at home, as of 4 p.m. this afternoon, the 3 shelters that are opening, West Bay Primary, which is also an emergency medical center, the Red Cross on Hull Avenue, and Clifton Hunter, which is also an emergency medical center, and it's animal friendly.
Can I just say something as well? And again, we saw over the last weekend with earthquake scenarios, a lot of misinformation out there. It's critical that people listen to official sources only. I've just had another message talking about misinformation about CUC planning to turn the power off at 5 p.m. That's not the case. So please look at the official sources. Obviously, CUC let out a lot of information. Last week we saw a lot of safety messaging from a number of different entities.
They did an excellent job in terms
Excellent job. Yeah. But please don't be sharing anything that is not official.
Right. I did see that as well.
Well, I'm pretty biased, and I know family members that I drive with, my son that I drive with sometimes, they like to listen to other radio stations, with music. Of course, I point them towards Radio Cayman. So what you really want to do is advise friends and family. If you want up-to-date information, listen to Radio Cayman, because a lot of the other radio stations are just simply, giving out bulletins, but here you're getting really live feeds, in terms of information. So encourage everyone to listen to the official radio station of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
And just to say, we've got Travel Cayman online. We have
yes.
Oh, great.
There was a message saying that there's a surge now on Holiday Inn. Now, if there are a couple of rooms there, but we can't all of a sudden move the entire quarantine, 1,500 people into those hotels. So please, look at what you've got in your own household. Make sure that the house you're using, if it's not fit for purpose, then we do need to be notified. But again, it's a tropical storm as opposed to any Cat 5 hurricane. So try and do your best to stay put unless you really, really need assistance.
Okay, and we're still waiting, hopefully, to hear from Travel Cayman was it the PCR testing that
there's another message
the question
there.
was posed earlier?
In regards to other item test results, will be provided this afternoon for persons that were tested today.
Okay, so there's a possibility they will be released today?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as they
test negative.
Negative.
Right, yes, of course. Of course. All right, so we hope that that listener has their question answered. And again, you can WhatsApp us your questions at 925-3261. Osi is manning the WhatsApp phone right now.
Yes.
So any messages that come in, he will be quick to see it, and we'll get your questions out to Shamal and to Danielle as soon as we can.
Yes.
With Grace passing, we saw a lot of the community working together to clean up everything. And we didn't really get to talk about what happened with Grace immediately after that storm hit us. Can you talk about what the NEOC did? What was, the overall results from Grace when it came to cleaning up the island, even though we're still in the midst of that?
Yeah, it was interesting last week because we did a sort of wet-dry run of the NEOC. We don't usually activate the full National Emergency Operations Centre in a tropical storm. Usually it's a much smaller group, Hazard Management Regiment and a few others. There's obviously communication is a key message, key part of that. However, last week we agreed as a council to have the full exercise. I say it was an exercise, also it was a live run, but it was still a sort of tailored down exercise, and actually was really lucky we did, given what happened with the storm last week and all the damage. Obviously during activation we're on rotation, but no one really sleeps a great deal because there's so much to do.
And adrenaline.
And adrenaline, trying to get to sleep after a lot of this decisions is really quite difficult. So what people probably don't realise is that after the National Emergency Operations Centre closes, which we did on I believe it was Wednesday night at 6 p.m, we still have a heck of a lot to do because we're doing the damage assessments, debris clearance, utilities, first response, responding to people who couldn't respond to an emergency. So that kind of goes on for a couple of days, or in this case, a couple of weeks. But it's quite a long haul we have ahead of us between the actual activation as well as the damage assessments and the clearance in the next few days.
Where did you notice it had the most damage and needed the most immediate attention?
It's interesting because we have a lot of flood maps and a lot of the technology we now have at Hazard Management. We can look at that, and it's sort of live feed coming from the damage assessment teams. I think it was such a surprise for everyone that the landscaping, a lot of the trees coming from Ivan days, 20, 30-year-old trees, there was so much damage to the foliage and the fauna, and that was quite tragic. And obviously throughout the whole storm we had a few roofs leaking and so forth. Obviously a lot of the electrical lines down. It was almost like it was across the island. There wasn't anywhere specific that I can name that was particularly badly damaged. Albeit I think a lot of the post issues was people without electricity and obviously wanting sheltering days afterwards because there was no electricity in certain areas. So I think it was sort of across the whole of, in particular, Grand Cayman. The Sister Islands did pretty well last week. But again, it's just, never quite sure what's going to happen. And I think, going back to the fauna, I guess there is really no point in putting trees up today if you're trying to recover from last week. Just leave them down to secure them as much as possible. And then again, in the next 2 days, consider pulling them back up again, as opposed to now.
When do the shelters close, per se?
So we obviously go through the all clear, and then there are some people obviously without the electricity and without water. So we tend to sort of move towards sort of Class B shelters, which means that we'll close the immediate ones and then we'll open others, or just keep a couple open that are prolonged. Last week we closed, or just about after the all clear, we did have to reopen another one in East End. Because of course again there was a lack of electricity there, so right. And we had some vulnerable people who needing extra shelter and electricity and so forth, so it's a sort of very dynamic situation as to when that happens. If there is a significant flooding, we'd rather people stay put in the shelter until, obviously, but we can't keep them open, not in the schools, and we can't keep them open indefinitely. So it's a sort of a very dynamic decision as to when they close.
That has to be difficult.
It's not easy. We have a good team there, shelter operations team. And again, the shelter volunteers are fantastic because they're putting themselves out. They go to the shelter to look after the shelter, and sometimes they can stay there for days and days at a time.
Right.
Yeah. I believe we're getting some anecdotal information from the sister islands, Cayman Brac, and I just want to say if anyone over there has anything to tell us, since we don't have the phone lines open yet, that they certainly can send us something on WhatsApp. 925-3261?
Yes, sir.
That's 925-3261 if you have anything to tell us about what's happening over in the sister islands at this point in time as well. We would certainly appreciate that.
I know the flights today obviously will all turn back. Cayman Airways flights going over there will turn back, and Mr. Mark Tibbetts, the district commissioner, as well as the community emergency response teams over there, are very much engaged in the whole NEOC. And we did get some updates today about obviously the preparations getting really firmed up and potential shelter openings and so forth. And again, I think they looked at last week and just hope the same for all of us this week because it is obviously so quick.
Thank you for bringing up the sister islands because I realize in our conversation we didn't really touch on Cayman Brac and Little Cayman so much. We did in the sense of the forecast track for the storm. And we know, as Shamal had mentioned earlier, they're not looking to experience wind so much, but they will be hit with pretty heavy rainfall as well, Grand Cayman.
They actually have been experiencing rain since earlier this morning, and it's almost been continuous based on our radar images, which I think I could just say it's up at the moment. We do have radar images coming in at the moment. So based on that, they've been getting that precipitation already. So again, based on the forecast for 2 to 4 millimeters, for 2 to 4 inches, with that possible 12 inches max, like I was saying earlier, would have been mainly for the sister islands, and it just goes to show that that's the case now. They're being dumped a lot of precipitation on right now at the moment.
Right. Now I know we're focused on this storm right here, but there's another one that's further down in the Lesser Antilles and more out into the Atlantic. So
I would say do one at a time. But in the case of the ones in the Atlantic, right now the tracks for those take them away from the Caribbean region at the moment. But again, I will say pay attention to the weather and the developments, because we might saying this right now that there's nothing out there that might affect us in the next couple of days, and then we might be here again next week, So it just goes to show things can change. So again, tune in to Radio Cayman for the latest information.
Yes.
And, we'll be updating the public as much as possible and as often as possible.
Absolutely. And we do on our social media sites as well. So on Facebook as well, I know our news team is updating that. Our Instagram page and Twitter page, which is just Radio Cayman, we try to put out the information as soon as we receive it from Weather Service, and any other information that is coming in from Hazard Management. Their Instagram page, I know, is Cayman Prepared. So it's important that you do check your credible sources of news for information on what's going on, because none of us are going to be sharing information that's not correct. As you said, Danny, earlier, about people saying that CUC is going to shut off power at 5 p.m. and that's just not accurate.
I think it's so important for people's mental health. It's just not feeding the beast.
Right.
It's you stick to your credible sources, know what's going on, get your protective safety messaging. I mean, for example, about standing in stagnant water or flooding water, and those, again, they're all on our website. And then again, just be ready.
That's right. All right. I think we can. I don't know if Susan has a call for us, but I think we can go to a 1:30 p.m. news break right now, and then when we return, I hope that we can take some calls from the public. So the numbers to call after the next break would be 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or again, you can WhatsApp us, as you've been doing so far, and we appreciate it, 925-3261. So we're going to go to our 1:30 break, and after that we will be taking some phone calls.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in a day.
Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
The HSA Specialist Clinic has relocated to a new, modern, state-of-the-art facility at Smith Road Center to offer you a better patient experience. Receive care from top specialists in chiropractic, complementary and alternative medicine, neurology, ENT, urology, pain management, and more. Our orthopedic and telemedicine clinics remain at the Cayman Islands Hospital campus. Please remember to bring your own face mask when visiting any HSA location. Visit our website, hsa.ky, to learn more. At the HSA, you matter to us.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments September 1st to the 14th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Good afternoon. Let's take a look at what's happening on the roads. It's busy. If you do not have to be on the roads, please stay off the roads. All roads are pretty much clogged with the traffic who is maybe getting to home or going to the shop. So coming off of Bobby Thompson Way is busy. Crew Road, busy traffic. On the West Bay Road and for the Ritz, traffic is also steady in both directions. And on Crew Road, busy traffic, as well as on Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. So we implore you, if you do not have to be on the roads, please stay off the roads. Based on the 1 p.m. update, the forecast track has the center of the depression passing over the Cayman Islands tonight, the Isle of Youth and Western Cuba on Friday, and move over the southeastern and central Gulf of Mexico Friday night and Saturday. The system is forecast to approach the U.S. northern Gulf Coast on Sunday. The depression is expected to become a tropical storm tonight and become a hurricane when it's near western Cuba or over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico from tomorrow night. Residents are urged to rush to complete your preparations before weather begins to deteriorate and become hazardous by this evening. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service will continue to monitor the progress of this system.
46 years of affordable, dependable, quality furniture is what Tomlinson Furniture has been giving the Cayman community. Come celebrate their anniversary with them. Sale starts Monday, August 23rd through to Tuesday, August 31st. Huge savings on everything in stock, including the mattress gallery. Never seen prices like these before on bedroom sets, solid wood chests, dining sets, TV stands. Spin the wheel with each purchase for a chance to win instant cash back and other prizes. No setup fees, delivery island-wide. Great looks, best prices, always. Tomlinson Building, Walkers Road.
Census 2021. Come on, get ready. Census starting 10th of October 2021. Census information is secret. Census 2021. Census starting October 10th. 2021. Census 2021. Census.
2021 Census. Everyone counts.
In an effort to reduce the risk of fires at the Georgetown landfill, the Department of Environmental Health has updated policies for scrap metals, derelict vehicles, and equipment which can be dropped off to the Georgetown landfill Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. only. Vehicles should be separated from other waste and must be thoroughly emptied of all waste, batteries, and flammable material. Scrap metal should be sorted before arrival and free of waste and contamination. Batteries and electrical items should be separated from all other waste. For more information on how you can help prevent landfill fires and where to recycle, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
All right, welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller, hosting this afternoon with OC or at Connor. And in studio, we have Danielle Coleman, Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, and Shamal Clark, forecaster with the Cayman Islands Weather Service. We were talking about a number of things, and I hope everybody was listening there, but so much from the forecast track. We got the 1 p.m. update from Shamal, and I'm sure you just heard Susan as well, who just reiterated what that was. And we're going to go to, we were talking as well about the Grace cleanup, what NEOC was doing in terms of after Grace hit us, what the plans in action were to help get the island back on track. We are taking callers right now, and I believe we do have a call on the line. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for calling. How are you today?
I'm well, and I want to thank you all for being on the air and giving us such good information. Very much appreciated, and pray that we will all be okay at the end of this. One thing that I think would be very helpful in the disaster management plan, or whatever it's called, right, is traffic management. Everybody gets home at the same time, sent home at the same time. A lot of the offices actually listen to government and say, okay, when government closes down, that's when we close down. I'm stuck in traffic now, talking on the phone, and I know I shouldn't be, but that's what I'm doing. But it's just, I mean, I actually have someplace to go. I need to pick someone up at the airport, okay? And I know everybody else has something to do as well. But if you want us to go home, I think you need to include in your plan how to get there. And God bless us all, and take care, and I hope that we can look at this as part of our plan as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Danielle, any comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, without the full activation of the National Emergency Operations Centre till tonight, that's still a regular police function, RCIPS function. But I think it's a really good proactive step that we can look into for our overall plan and see how we can all incorporate that in. Again, I think with the, obviously government closing, we do it as a suggestion. It's private companies will obviously have to do their own take on as to whether that's a good idea. At the same time, we like to think that, yes, the decisions we're making to close government buildings would be followed by the private sector. So I take that point. Again, the last thing that would be done right now is stuck in traffic. We've been hearing way earlier on the traffic was really mounting up. So, yeah, I appreciate that call from the caller, and we'll look into it for the general plan.
And definitely stay tuned to Radio Cayman, because Susan also just gave an updated traffic report. We have cameras, I think it's 12 different cameras situated in various places throughout the island, and she just gave a detailed report on what's going on the roads there. So continue listening to us, and we'll be giving more updated traffic reports as the day goes on. I believe we have another caller online. Good afternoon, caller. Thanks for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you all.
Hello.
Appreciate you all being there and what you're doing.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
Just fine, thank you.
Good.
I just want simple common sense will help us with the traffic problem. Simple old-time common sense. We know we have much too many cars for the roads here, but we cannot do anything about that at this present time. But we cannot adjust our time to leave and to go and to come. We cannot expect the government or hazard management to do that all for us too. With the last bulletin to the gentleman there from the Weather Bureau, what were the last coordinates of the center of this system, and how far north and west do these 35-mile-an-hour winds extend? North and west would be most important to us. Right now, it would have passed where directly would be south, but a good distance south of Cayman Brac, and a little bit further to the west of dead south of Cayman Brac. But if you could give us those coordinates and say how far the wind bands extend north and west from the center of the eye of the system. Thank you very much. And the last coordinates, latitude and longitude. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Shamal, do you have those handy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He
a lot of questions there.
He almost caught me off guard with that one. But yeah, I do have the longitude and latitude. The last position based on the 1 o'clock update was 17.5 degrees north, 79.5 degrees west. So that's 165 miles southeast of Grand Cayman. You asked the question in terms of how far the winds extend. I'll estimate that right now based on the information that I had, which would have been the 10 o'clock, because the 1 o'clock information is an intermediary, so that would not change the situation much. But that seems to extend close to about 20, let me just say this, about 60 miles, 60 to 70 miles from the center. I hope that answers the question. And again, that puts it just the bands of tropical storm force condition just at the edge of Little Cayman.
Okay. And the next update will be at 4 o'clock?
So the next complete update is at 4 p.m.
Yeah. And the council will be briefing again at 4:30 tonight.
Okay. I think you got an update as well, Danielle, while we were on break about
supermarkets.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got Foster's closing at 4 p.m. today, and I believe we've got Hurley's and Kirk's closing at 6 p.m. today. Again, bear in mind with traffic, and we're strongly encouraging people to be off the road by 7 p.m. If you're going to go to any one of those, make sure you're trying to get out early so you can be home and safe before the onset of tropical storm force winds.
Kirk's must have heard me. That's my supermarket, so they must have been like, well
and if you have any hurricane items that you have ordered and they're coming through the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands, they're advising that their offices remain open until for customers until 4 p.m. today. And they are asking you to note that customs closed at 12:30 p.m. as did the warehouse at the Customs Distribution Center. The Port Authority will open again at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday, the 28th of August. Meanwhile, preparations continue to be made to secure its facilities. They also advise that they have brought in additional staff to reload a cargo ship and to discharge the inter-island barge. Going forward, the port is closed to shipping until Saturday. All ships should seek safe harbor, and owners of small crafts should secure them before nightfall.
Okay, excellent. Did you have any other notifications that had come into you?
That's it for now.
All right. And remember, we are taking calls, 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261.
I guess just to do another quick plug, I mean, we're all trying to get, it's a very quick storm where everyone's trying to get organised quite quickly, but please, again, if you do have a spare capacity, look out for your neighbours, make sure you're doing wellness checks. We've got the community emergency response teams doing all that. But again, it's really helpful. Cayman Kind, just get out there, make sure everyone around you, especially the most vulnerable people, are being looked after as well.
Absolutely. Good point with that. I know that during Grace, that there was some evacuations that were happening Wednesday morning, and I thought it was somebody from your hazard management team that was out there also helping with, I guess, possibly the regiment to help evacuate some people from their homes. And whatnot.
I mean, when we actually so HMCI are the sort of coordinators of the National Emergency Operations Centre. So when we activate, like we will probably tonight, it becomes the full National Emergency Operations Centre. So we all sort of work together as a team. It's a big team. And again, it's just making sure we work together. Teamwork makes the dream work, and I think it's a really cohesive unit now. We worked a lot together last year. We were activated for 104 days for COVID, as well as dealing with fires, dust, tropical storms, whatever else you name it. We kind of had to do, and obviously the earthquake and tsunami scare. So there was a lot of activation last year with the National Emergency Operations Centre, and there really are a tremendous bunch of committed, both private and public individuals who come together to find solutions to make sure the system carries on and recovery can be made very, very quickly. So it is a joint effort, or triple, quadruple effort, everyone working together.
Okay, excellent.
Can we share the shelter openings again and the locations as well as the times for
Absolutely.
Our audience?
Yeah, so today, 4 p.m. today, the West Bay Primary School will be open. That's an EMC, Emergency Medical Centre, and that holds 335 people. The Red Cross, 95 people, and Clifton Hunter, 630 people, which again is an EMC and an animal shelter. We try to do a sort of geographical distribution around the island. Again, appreciate we don't want to open all the shelters. We did open 9 last week, and we had we had about 35 people in those. So just not to exhaust the shelter teams, we're trying to do a bit more of a smaller activation. But again, we can rev that up to Prospect, Bontown, East End if we need to, and that announcement will be made later on. But right now, it's those 3 that will be operating from 4 p.m. today.
Okay. And if you live in a low-lying area where it's prone to flooding, because of the results of Tropical Storm Grace, any specific advice you would give to those persons, especially even if they didn't experience any flooding or little flooding, the build-up as a result of tropical storm, the cumulative effect, of that, there is a possibility that they could end up with more water than they did before.
Absolutely.
Strong possibility,
Absolutely.
I should say.
And I think if that's the case, and again, if you know, everyone knows their own home. If it's vulnerable, normally it's more vulnerable now because of Grace. We do know there's a lot of flooding coming, potential flooding coming, a lot of rain. So just take those precautions, make sure you're safe. If it's not a safe house to be in, please don't stay there. We have the shelters open, or go stay with a friend, or whatever you need to do to make sure that you are safe. But know that the flooding's more likely as a result of last week's cumulative effect, as you say.
And just to make it clear to people, we're not trying to alarm them or to scare them. We're just pointing out the realities of the situation.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We do have a caller online, so we'll take that call right now. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling Talk Today. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I just want to reiterate what I guess has already been said, and what is being said, and what it will be said, is that we are still saturated from the last one. So it won't take much more rain or water to do some real damage and flooding. So anyone in low-lying areas need to take precaution. And also, no two storms are alike. So please be safe, take heed, and stay indoors.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your call, for your comments. We appreciate them. And I completely, I think we all agree with them right
Absolutely,
there.
100%. Don't go out until the all clear has been given, and stay safe in the meantime. And again, the flooded water, you don't know what's in there. You can pick up all sorts of nasty germs or rusty nails or whatever it might be. So please be safe. Footwear in particular right now if you're going through any water.
Now, a lot of the times we see, you grow up in the Cayman Islands and you go out and play in the rain out there in the puddles, and if you did it as a kid, you would think, okay, this is fine. My children can do the same thing. It's part of growing up and experiencing life in the Cayman Islands. But then there's down power lines as well, and we know that there's a lot of CUC poles that still have to be reinstated and put up and fixed. So, what would you say to the families that are okay with their children playing in those puddles?
I love dancing with puddles. I love dancing in the rain. And just unfortunately, again, with the debris that's out there right now, it's not a particularly safe thing to do. Especially, as you say, I know I live on Woodland Drive. We've still got a lot of wires down, telecom wires and so forth, and a lot of debris in the road. So, again, just take precautions, fix shoes. If you're going to go out, and I'm not saying going out in the storm, obviously, before we get hit by the storm, but with the rain, make sure you're wearing steady clothing. Mosquitoes will probably be an issue over the next few days as well. Make sure you're wearing protective clothes and mosquito spray, and just be sensible. Don't take risks. Please don't go surfing, that kind of thing.
I saw some paddle boards out last week as well, so that was one way to get around, I guess, in the more flooded areas.
Not in the sea. Fine if you're doing it on the road,
right.
Not in the sea.
It wasn't in the sea. It was neighborhoods. We have to take a commercial break right now, and we will return to Talk Today in just a few minutes.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Census 2021. Came and get ready. Starting 10th of October 2021. West Bay, you're ready. East End, we come in. Everyone will be counted. 2021. But in town, are you ready? Georgetown, we coming. Your info will be secret. Northside, get ready. Rockers will be counted. Little Cayman, we coming. People get ready. 2021. Todos se cuentan. Latinos serán contados. Filipinos majanda. 2021 census. Papa, are you ready? Mama will be counted. Children and toddlers. 2021 information is secret. 2021 census. Starting October 10th. 2021 census. 2021 census.
2021 census. Everyone counts.
The public is being advised that the mental health helpline is 1-800-534-6463. That's the mental health helpline, 1-800-534-6463, and it will be continue to remain open throughout the night. Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman would like to advise the public that due to the expected tropical storm conditions, the job registration drive planned for tomorrow, planned for today, August 26, at the Westin Hotel, has been cancelled. It will instead take place on Thursday, the 2nd of September from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. and on Friday, the 3rd of September from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. You can contact the customer care at 945-9672, toll free at 1-800-534-9672, or you can visit www.worc.ky or email worc@gov.ky.
46 years of affordable, dependable, quality furniture is what Tomlinson Furniture has been giving the Cayman community. Come celebrate their anniversary with them. Sale starts Monday, August 23rd through to Tuesday, August 31st. Huge savings on everything in stock, including the mattress gallery. Never seen prices like these before on bedroom sets, solid wood chests, dining sets, TV stands. Spin the wheel with each purchase for a chance to win instant cash back and other prizes. No setup fees, delivery island-wide. Great looks, best prices, always. Tomlinson Building, Walkers Road.
Grand Cayman Civil Service Association members, present and retired. The final backpack distribution day is Saturday, August 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you have not collected your 2 backpacks previously, then this is your opportunity. Just a reminder, members, please check your salary slip or HR person to assure your membership fee is updated. Retirees, check your records for your 2020-2021 fee receipt. Please bring an ID for collection. And if you are collecting for another member, please bring a signed note and copy of their ID as well. That's the final backpack distribution day, Saturday, August 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We hope to see you then. CISA, members serving members.
The CISA office is located upstairs Hospital Road Plaza.
Based on the pending weather projections, Doctors Hospital will be rescheduling relevant patients' appointments, diagnostic services, and elective surgeries until further notice. However, urgent care services will remain uninterrupted. The Doctors Hospital Pharmacy will close at 4 p.m. today until further notice. They encourage all residents to remain off the roads, stay safe, and stay tuned to official sources, including HMCI and the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, to monitor the storm track and adhere to emergency announcements. Please call 911 if you have any emergency. Based on the 1 p.m. update, the forecast track has the center of the depression passing over the Cayman Islands tonight, the Isle of Youth and Western Cuba on Friday, and move over the southeastern and central Gulf of Mexico Friday night and Saturday. The system is forecast to approach the U.S. northern coast on Sunday. The depression is expected to become a tropical storm tonight and become a hurricane when it's near western Cuba or over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico from tomorrow night. Residents are urged to rush to complete your preparations before the weather begins to deteriorate and become hazardous by the evening. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands. And last coordinates as of 1 p.m., latitude 17.5 north, longitude 79.5 west, 165 miles southeast of Grand Cayman, and it's moving to the northwest at 13 miles per hour. The maximum sustained winds are 35 miles per hour, and the next bulletin will be issued at 4 this afternoon.
Are you a transportation provider or tour operator on land or sea? Take your skills to the next level by attending the free Aquila Driver Excellence course. Learn more about how to deliver excellent service and make sure your passengers are safe. But hurry, as there are only 2 sessions remaining. Wednesday, 25th of August at 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and Wednesday, the 1st of September from 1:30 to 3 p.m. You can attend online via Zoom or in person at the Pride Training Room. Deadline to register is the Monday before each session. For more information or to book your session, head to aquila.ourcayman.ky. That's aquila.ourcayman.ky. Once again, that's aquila.ourcayman.ky. Don't miss out on this free internationally recognized training brought to you by the Ministry and Department of Tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller and in studio hosting this afternoon with Oric Connor, OC, and we have still with us Danielle Coleman, Director of Hazard Management, Cayman Islands. And Danielle's going to be with us with just a few more minutes. I do want to mention the grocery stores that we were discussing. Danielle gave us an update a few minutes ago that 6 p.m. is when Hurley's and Kirk's Supermarket will be closing. Foster's is closing at 4. And I was just on the phone here on WhatsApp with people from McRuss, and we know that McRuss is a 24-hour grocery store, but they also will be closing around 6, possibly 7 this evening. So you have time still to make it to McRuss as well if you're looking to stock up, and like me, I have to.
And again, just because of traffic, please go to your closest one. If you need to do it, please go to your closest supermarket, even if you're not a regular there. We're trying to avoid as much traffic as we can on the roads. It's going to get busy, and it's still obviously very busy now.
No time for comparison shopping, right?
No time for getting the biggest bang for the money. And unless you really have to go out, just stay put, stay at home with your canned goods at home already. You know, it's not going to be a very long period that you'll have to eat that food for. So just stick with what you got, and unless you really need food right now.
All right, I agree with you. Since we only have you for a couple minutes, I know that there's some other points that we're just going to hit again. We've told the public a couple of times, but we want to make sure you are prepared. We want to keep reiterating these messages so that the stay home and until government gives, as it will be given by the NEOC, I believe, the all clear is given.
Yep.
Please do stay home, because around 7:30 we're expecting the tropical storm to reach Cayman, and it's projected to pass pretty much directly over us. And around 6 a.m., I believe that was the estimated time that Shamal gave, it's looking to have passed us around 6 a.m.
And just remember, it's so dynamic that everything changes so quickly. Yes. So just be keeping really close to your verified official sources of information, and don't take any risks. Again, it's just not worth it. If you can stay home for the next day, whatever, please do so.
And from her tropical storm, I keep wanting to say Hurricane Grace. So from Tropical Storm Grace,
that's where we must start.
Yes, from that we know that I took it a little bit lightly. A lot of people took it light, and that impacted us in a pretty devastating way. And the trees that came up from that alone, just those trees, like 20-year-old trees, just that weren't impacted necessarily during Ivan, but somehow during this tropical storm, they came. So we know that the effects of just not just a storm, I have to stop saying that, from what is considered a smaller storm can be just as devastating as the Cat 5 of Ivan was, right?
Yeah, I think it's so important just to be ready for anything. And again, it's not just storms, it's every emergency that Cayman is vulnerable to. I mean, last weekend, for example, because of the South Sandwich Islands, the Caribbean Sea was put under tsunami warning more than once. Obviously, this is a very long way away from Cayman. As to whether it could actually impact Cayman is a different story, but potentially ricochet off another island. And I think it's just really important, again, we have to be ready in the world that we live in nowadays to be ready for anything. And emergency supply kits is just an obvious example to have it ready at all times.
Okay. You want to talk about those helplines and that will be available as well?
Yeah, just a reminder to all the listeners. I mean, mental health is such an important thing about what we're all dealing with over the last year and a half in particular. So our mental health helpline is available, 1-800-534-6463. And also our National Emergency Operations Centre call takers dealing with any issues, evacuation and so forth, 949-6555 will be open, I think, 4 o'clock today as well. So any issues that you have, unless they're absolute emergency, obviously call 911 if there's emergency, but please take precautions that you need to do. Don't take any risks. Don't be out there playing in the rain puddles at 10 o'clock tonight. And again, before the all clear happens, just stay put. So, utilities, first responders, as well as damage assessment teams can get out there and do their work before the rest of the public do.
And those call takers, what exactly do? They record information that is passed on to them? Do they assess the level of
the priority?
Yeah.
And so what we have, the call takers is run by the cadets and senior cadets, and they take the calls. That gets fed into the National Emergency Operations Centre through what we call WebEAC, which is a web-based system, and that gets assigned to certain individual clusters, and they will then act on it. Obviously, there's sometimes that we have to act together, and again, it's a very live conversation, very dynamic atmosphere. But the call takers will send that, and they'll put priority on it. But again, that can be reassigned to a different cluster if it's potentially more than one cluster involved. And then we would prioritise that ourselves in the actual centre.
All right, we're at the 2 p.m. news headlines. And right before we go to the 2 p.m. news headlines, Danielle, I want to know if there's any last message you want to leave with people. If they're not listening to the radio, if they're not online, I know that there's a Radio Cayman app, but then there's also other ways people can get information from hazard management and from NEOC.
Yeah, I mean, again, just official sources. We've got the hazard management website, which is www.caymanprepared.ky. Our social media, we have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And in the Cayman Islands National Weather Service are doing a regular update, as is the full government website. And again, I know you use our official sources. So I think it's just really important to make sure you're getting that information on a regular basis. Things can change dramatically throughout the night. Mm-hmm. It's critical that you do stay tuned. And again, just don't take any risks whatsoever.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Great to be here and great to be with you both. And again, thank you for what you do, because communication is such a key thing in any emergency. So thank you both.
Hey, it's an adrenaline pumping thing for all of us, I think, right now. But thank you for joining us this afternoon, and hopefully we will weather this all well together.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to go to the 2 p.m. news headlines.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. A tropical storm warning is in effect for the Cayman Islands. Based on the 1 p.m. update, the forecast track has the center of the depression passing over the Cayman Islands tonight, the Isle of Youth and western Cuba on Friday, and then move over the southeastern and central Gulf of Mexico Friday night and Saturday. The system is forecast to approach the U.S. northern Gulf Coast on Sunday. The depression is expected to become a tropical storm tonight and become a hurricane when it is near western Cuba or over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico from Friday night. Residents are urged to complete their preparations before weather begins to deteriorate and become hazardous by the evening. In international news, a new approach to protecting young African children from malaria could reduce deaths and illness from the disease by 70%, a study suggests. Giving them vaccines before the worst season in addition to preventative drugs produced very striking results, London researchers say. The trial followed 6,000 children aged under 17 months. Most of the 400,000 deaths from malaria each year are in the under 5s. A U.S. judge has issued a blistering ruling against prominent lawyers who represented Donald Trump after his 2020 presidential election defeat. U.S. District Judge Linda Parker described a lawsuit filed in Michigan by Mr. Trump's counsel as a profound abuse of the judicial process. Her 110-page ruling, issued Wednesday, sanctioned Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, and 7 others who alleged voter fraud. Judge Parker said the lawyers intended to undermine the electoral system. Pop group ABBA have teased a major announcement for next week as fans await their first new music in 39 years. The Swedish band launched a new website on Thursday morning titled ABBA Voyage, asking fans to register interest in a new project. It is expected to be a long gestating hologram tour that ABBA initially announced in 2016. The band are also expected to release 5 new songs to accompany the show. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public could say.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Kathy Miller in studio with OC, Orette Connor, and he's hosting with me this afternoon. We're both filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who couldn't be with us today. We had Danielle Coleman from Hazard Management, Cayman Islands, and we had Shamal Clark from the Cayman Islands Weather Service. And Shamal was really giving a lot of details on the formation of the storm, how the storm is projected to move, the times that we can expect the tropical storm to hit us, which I believe he said around 7:30 this evening we can expect it to be a tropical storm hitting Cayman, Grand Cayman that is. And by around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we can expect that storm to have passed us. We did ask the question, OC, should we expect this to turn into a hurricane? Because, you know, it depends on what the conditions are. Mm-hmm. But as he explained, the conditions aren't necessarily favorable for a hurricane to happen to approach us, the Cayman Islands.
And at the speed that it's moving at as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any worry for people out there, although anything can change at any time, the way that this storm has been projected and is moving, it still does not look like it will become a hurricane as it's hitting or passing the Cayman Islands. Closer to when it approaches Cuba, which is what the weather bulletins have been saying since yesterday at least. Mm-hmm. So,
but we will still have strong winds. We will have lots of rain as well, and those are the factors. Catherine, just for the people of West Bay as well, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service has just issued notification of the West Bay Police Station's temporary relocation to Governor's Square, and it reads, the public is being advised that as of 6 p.m. today, the West Bay Police Station will temporarily relocate to the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service's Training and Development Unit's office located at Governor's Square off West Bay Road. The phone number for the West Bay Police Station will remain the same. That is 949-3999, and the station will operate as normal at the Governor's Square location.
What's the reasoning for that? Is there any there, or do you know?
Well, if you know where the West Bay Police Station is located,
I do.
The low-lying area.
Okay.
Originally, part of it may have been swampland or near to swampland as well, so prone to flooding.
Okay.
And of course, for years they were supposed to have a new West Bay Police Station, and that has not come about as yet.
Oh, interesting.
So with Tropical Storm Grace approaching, they relocated as well. So they're doing the same thing again, relocating to Governor Square.
Okay, so this isn't a permanent move that they're looking to make to Governor Square.
This is just temporarily, for the weather system.
Okay, and a reminder to our listeners that the closure for the grocery stores this early evening, 4 p.m. for Foster's, all locations, 4 p.m. For Hurley's and Kirk Supermarket, 6 p.m. And for McRuss on Eastern Avenue and Marina Drive, McRuss is looking possibly 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m. for a closure. We do have one caller on the line, so let's take this call. And good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I am doing well, I believe.
Good.
Checking to if you all have had any word from ESO and their training program for the census.
For today? I think all government activities are canceled. For today, all government offices are closed, so any scheduled government activity would be canceled.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course, it's always up to you. Yes. I'm your agent. Only 10%.
I didn't hear everything you said. Can you repeat that?
That was the personal thing. She says she's my agent,
Oh.
so she'll get 10%.
Oh, okay. I got
10% commission.
Jeez, you want to be my agent too? Yeah. So, thank you for your call. So anybody that was trying to do the census training or any other scheduled appointments, whether it's with HSA, whether it's with Doctors Hospital, understand that has been canceled for today, that they will be reaching out to the patients who had prior scheduled appointments, and they will be looking to reschedule you and likely opening again by as soon as the all clear is given, which should be hopefully by tomorrow morning. Hopefully, we can't say. And we understand that if everything passes as projected so far with this storm so far, depression it's not quite the storm yet, then even government offices are looking to open midday tomorrow. So hopefully everything will be on track as expected, and we can look forward to everything resuming somewhat normally again as of tomorrow midday.
Yep. And we know, we hope that they're hearing us over in the BRAC, and we're hoping to hear from someone over there as to what the conditions are at the moment, what the current conditions over in the BRAC, whether or not you're getting continuous rainfall, any intensity as far as the wind is concerned. I don't want to call people's names.
I'm going to Raymond Scott. Raymond Scott, I expected you to clock in with us already from the BRAC. We know, sir, that you always do. So OC didn't want to call the name, but I know you always call us and update us. So if you are hearing this, if any one of your friends or family is hearing this, or anybody else,
the district commissioner, yeah. No, they're probably busy. But,
absolutely.
If they do have a minute to spare, they can certainly give us a call and
please
let us know
do.
what's happening.
Those numbers are 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261.
Well, Kathy, it seems as if the predictions that we got early during the year, before the hurricane season, even last year, they were telling us the next hurricane season is going to be a busy hurricane season. It is living up to that so far.
They always
so
say
I believe that we all should now heed the warnings, make all of the preparations that we can in terms of stocking up on food and everything else. You can always rotate it, as well. But I believe that the writing is on the wall now.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 storms for us in 9 days is pretty fast, and we're not even at the peak. So the peak of the hurricane season is September 10th. So we asked for the BRAC to call us, and the BRAC is on the line.
Great.
Let us take this caller from the BRAC.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and This is Carrie Tibbetts, and of course I moved to the BRAC. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm on the north coast, and it's been overcast all day, and a light rain, not very heavy, more and sometimes a drizzle.
Okay.
We have a slight gust of wind, but not much, just, a little breeze pass through and go again. But other than that, there's no sunshine up here today. I haven't seen the seas as yet, but I can hear that they sound a little rough because I'm near the water. But other than that, that's all we're getting is just a light rain and, the occasional breeziness that passes, I guess, with the bands coming in and going.
Okay.
Other than that, we're okay. And I see a lot of activity from the civil service, so I guess they're prepping everything and making sure all the government buildings are all battened up and stuff.
Okay. From a personal standpoint, you have chosen to stay at home as opposed to going to the shelter.
Oh yeah, I believe in my forefathers who settled the north coast of Kimmenbrack, which was the safest side to be on. Although on top of the bluff is safer if you choose to go up there, and I can if I want, but I'm going to stay on the north coast.
Okay, and how prepared are you, especially from the experience with Grace last week?
Yeah, very prepared. I got my batteries and my candles and my lanterns and my water and my can and dry goods, and I'm good.
Excellent.
And my extra battery chargers for my cell phones, and we're all happy and waiting for whatever happens.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carrie,
You're welcome.
for
Thank
checking in
you.
with us and letting us know. And hopefully you do keep those phones charged. And if we need to hear from you throughout the night or tomorrow morning, you can give us a call and let us know what's going on in the BRAC.
Or you can shout me, 917-8885.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too. Can you repeat your WhatsApp number again, because I lost it out of my phone? Thanks a lot.
The WhatsApp number is 925-3261.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
All right,
Okay,
so we
that
got a
was good to
report
hear.
from the
Yes,
BRAC.
yes, we did, certainly.
And Shamal did say earlier from the radar system that they saw that there was rainfall in the BRAC. So to hear from Carrie saying it's been cloudy the whole day and like a light drizzle. So he was correct in the rainfall, and to have her confirm that. So we know that the BRAC is doing okay. Not so much in the winds right now, but we know that they should be experiencing a bit of wind at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Break.
2:15 break.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments September 1st to the 14th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Powerhouse Gym at King Sports Center. The summer sale is here. 1 week only. August 25th to 31st. Take 30% off your annual gym membership. That's right, 30% off. And the first 50 people to sign up receive a free gift of health from Total Health. Stronger body, saving money, and free gifts. That's a win, win, win. For 20 years, so much has changed. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for K-Man. King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as K-Man's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation. Take 30% off your gym membership with the King Sports Center Summer Sale, August 25th to 31st.
Hello, Cayman. This is your Miss Cayman Islands Universe, Mariah Tibbetts. Join me and our 9 lovely contestants at this year's pageant on Saturday, September 11th at the Westin Hotel. Doors open at 6 p.m. and the show starts at 7 p.m. The tickets are available at Funky Tangs and Sand Angels. A huge thank you to our corporate sponsors, the Ministry of Tourism, Radio Cayman, Compass Media, and Cayman Airways. The journey to the crown continues.
RC Fusion.
Monday to Thursday. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Fridays. Radio Cayman. variety in the morning.
RC Fusion.
Following the 10 a.m. news headline. Biggest variety in the morning.
And just to let you know, the Triple C School will be closed tomorrow, Friday, August 27, due to the impending weather conditions. Also, the Port Authority of the Cayman Islands advises that its offices will remain open to customers until 4 p.m. this afternoon. Please note that the customs closed at 12:30 this afternoon, as did the warehouse at the Customs Distribution Center. And PACI will reopen at 8:30 on Saturday, the 28th of August. Meanwhile, preparations continue to secure its facilities. The Port Authority has brought in additional staff to reload a cargo ship and to discharge the inner island barge. Going forward, the port is closed to shipping until Saturday. All ships should seek safe harbor, and owners of all small craft should secure them before nightfall. Let's go back now to Talk Today. Kathy, OC.
Hey. Thank you, Susan. Welcome back to Talk Today. I thought the little music was going to come on. But hey, we were listening. That works. So yes, I'm Kathy Miller, joined here by OC, and we're co-hosting Talk Today this afternoon, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we got a tropical depression storm possible coming. Well, it's definitely coming. 7:30 p.m. It's supposed to 7:30 p.m. It's supposed to be really hitting Grand Cayman and should be passing us by around 6 a.m. in the morning, Friday morning. So that's about 11, almost 12 hours of storm conditions, tropical storm conditions that we are looking at. And the latest coordinates that came in from 1 p.m., latitude 17.5 north, latitude 17.5 north, longitude 79.5 west. The location of the depression is 165 miles southeast of Grand Cayman. It's moving northwest at 13 miles per hour, and maximum sustained winds are at 35 miles per hour.
Okay, I have something here, Catherine, from Cayman Airways. Just send it out.
You keep calling me by my government name, OC. You see, I call him OC, and he's like, Catherine.
Okay, Cayman Airways prepares for Tropical Depression 9, as the Cayman Islands have been placed under tropical storm warning. Cayman Airways Limited made the following changes to its operations for August the 26th, 2021, with affected passengers having been directly contacted. So Cayman Airways Express, August the 26th, 2021, due to inclement weather conditions between Grand Cayman and the sister islands today, Cayman Airways Express operations were cancelled, and a jet flight, KX 2403, added for a known departure from Grand Cayman, with the returning leg departing Cayman Brac at 1:15 p.m. As far as repatriation flights are concerned, August the 26th, 2021, Kingston flight KX 3600 / KX 3601 were cancelled due to the inclement weather in Jamaica. La Ceiba flight KX 3880 and 3881 operated as scheduled. And we should note that Cayman Airways will operate recovery flights for cancelled operations as soon as it is safe to do so, and affected passengers will be advised accordingly. As far as change fee waivers are concerned, passengers traveling on repatriation flights may voluntarily change their reservations without change fees. However, passengers should consider that seats on alternative repatriation flights may not always be available. A change fee waiver has been authorized for passengers with existing tickets for travel between Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac or Little Cayman between August 25th and August 28th, 2021. Any applicable fare differences will apply. And of course, you have your reservations hotline and ticket office. As far as they're concerned, Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac ticket office will be closed as of 3 p.m. today. The reservations hotline will be closing at 5 p.m. today. Pending weather conditions, the ticket office will reopen on Friday, August 27th from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. And the reservations hotline, I scrolled down on that, but I don't think that was too important. I think I've given them more than enough information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the man himself from the BRAC has called. We do have Raymond Scott on the line. Good afternoon, Raymond. Thanks for calling Talk Today.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon to all our listeners and everybody there, Mr. O.C., Miss Susan, and everyone.
Afternoon, Raymond.
You must have got the message that we were waiting on your call.
Yes, a friend of mine called me and told me, said, Raymond, they mentioned about you giving a report, right?
Yes.
I was on the road at the time. I'm back in the yard now at home.
Let us know what's going on in the BRAC.
Yeah, presently the weather condition, we have light rain in Cayman BRAC and some heavy clouds to the southeast of the island, approaching the island. It's totally overcast and cloudy skies. And the system that is coming northwest, for all of you in Grand Cayman to prepare for it. And it is very likely that it could be a hurricane force winds by the time it gets there, because like I said the last time, it was planning to hit there at 45. It was a tropical storm, but there was a recording of 94 miles per hour velocity blowing in Grand Cayman, and one area off at Georgetown was recorded at 86. So that was definitely a hurricane that you all had there.
I think it was the gusts, because that's what Shamal Clark was confirming with us way earlier in the show. So he was saying that there was some gusts that were recorded in the 80s, but the maximum sustained winds were still in the tropical storm readings, basically. So it wasn't. We felt as if it was a hurricane wind, but it wasn't necessarily that. I can't explain it how he explained it.
Yes, 80 miles per hour, that definitely is hurricane. Did you just say 80 miles per hour?
Yeah, but it wasn't sustained.
Right.
Yes.
And 74 and up is hurricane winds.
Yes. And what I'm taking note of now, how the south coast of Cayman BRAC, how the sea is impacted. We are getting seas there now ranging from 2 feet to about 8 feet on the south side, and they're coming in on a cross angle, like directly from the southeast. Instead of breaking parallel with the shoreline from south, some of the waves are coming from the southeast because it's feeling effects of the storm already. From this morning, there has been a change and increase in the sea condition on the south side. The north side, there's a light chop, but the south side is rough and getting rougher because it's feeling the effects, the turbulence and the wind from the tropical storm that will be. What is the latest on the wind velocity now of this system?
Well, the maximum sustained winds that we have from the 1 p.m. reading, which is just an intermediate reading, so it's 35 miles per hour. And at 4 p.m., there'll be a more detailed weather bulletin that comes out. And in that weather bulletin, the 4 p.m., it will say where the winds are reaching, like how far the winds are reaching. So we can't really tell you anything that's changed in that sense as opposed to what was given in the 10 a.m. because the 10 a.m. weather bulletin, because the 1 p.m. again just gave us what the maximum sustained winds are, and that was about it, and the coordinates as well. And the location just changed to 160 miles southeast of Grand Cayman.
Yes, and the last I had got, which I think was the 10 a.m. report, was at 16.9 north and 79.2 west. Is that what you have?
That is the 10 a.m. coordinates. So the 1 p.m. coordinates, which were the latest coordinates given, is different. So the 1 p.m. coordinates, latitude 17.5 north, longitude 79.5 west.
17.5 north. That would put it 17 degrees 30 minutes north, and 79.5 would put it 79 degrees 30 minutes west. And the Bluff Cayman BRAC, the east end of Cayman BRAC, is 79.45. So you're looking at approximately another hour time. It should almost be directly south of the east end of Cayman Brac, and let's see, at 18.5, 19.5 is 60 miles, and you got 105 miles, roughly in 1 hour time. It should be approximately 105 miles south of the east end of Cayman Brac. I just calculated that in my mind.
Very quick calculation. Very good.
Yes. You've been doing this a long time.
Impressive.
Yes, roughly in 1 hour time, it should be approximately 105 miles south of the east end of Cayman Brac. And if it's moving still northwest, that should put it probably to pass about 30 miles to the south of Grand Cayman. What you all have the projected path as?
The projected path?
We don't have that information. Yeah. We just have the speed that is moving at, which at that time was about 13 miles an hour.
Yeah, 13 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so repeating that, according to what I'm getting now from you all, roughly in 1 hour time, it should be approximately 105 miles south of the east end of Cayman Brac, south of the bluff moving. At 13 miles an hour, then it would take another hour to get abreast the west end of Cayman Brac. And then you're looking at another, I had it calculated to be south of Grand Cayman around 8 o'clock tonight.
Yes, which is very close to what the forecaster Shamal was saying. Yeah. So he said around 7:30 p.m. that's when we should expect that tropical storm to really hit Grand Cayman. We do have another call on the line. Raymond, thank you for your input, and I want to remind you that at 4 p.m. we'll be getting the next weather bulletin, which will be a more detailed bulletin than we were able to just give you from the 1 p.m. one. But thank you for calling, and thank you for updating us what's going on in the Brac and how far away you've just calculated that storm to be from the Brac as well. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Talk Today.
Oh, I just had a call again. One of our national treasures was just on.
Yes.
Yes.
And he don't need the instruments, and no insult to Mr. Tibbet. I remember that. I remember that, Mr. O.C. Remember? They would sit down and they would talk just like that.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He made my afternoon. Bye, guys.
All you have to do, all you need to know are the coordinates, basically, and the speed, and they can figure it out.
Calculate
I was really impressed. Impressed with him. Yeah.
Great skill to have. So, and I would take his word. He's, as he said, he calculated around 8 p.m., so he was pretty much on the money there, compared to what our forecaster Shamal Clark had said as well.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
With instruments. Bye.
All right. Take care. Stay safe.
All right. Well, we're at the end of the show. Oh,
we are?
Yeah, we're there.
I thought we were going to go on until 7:30 tomorrow morning.
I didn't know I was that entertaining company for you, but perhaps another time. Let's remind, I have to get my groceries still and food for my dog, which I'm very concerned about right now. But let's remind the public of a few things. We do know that we have a few shelters, 3 shelters that are opening on Grand Cayman as of 4 p.m. earlier this evening. So West Bay Primary, or Sir John A. Cumber Primary School in West Bay. That's also an emergency medical center. We also have the Red Cross on Huldah Avenue and Clifton Hunter High School. That's also animal friendly, and as well it's an emergency medical center. So those are the 3. And I know we have several other hurricane shelters, but based on what this depression so far is and the tropical storm that it's forecast to be, they're only opening those 3 because they think that strategically placed, that those are the necessary ones that need to open right now. On standby, there are other shelters that may open, but we won't know if that's going to happen until possibly later this evening. There's numbers to call. So there's a helpline, the mental health helpline, 1-800-534-6463. If you're feeling anxious or you're worried at all about the storm, please do call the mental health helpline, 1-800-534-6463. And the NEOC call center. They're opening as of 4 p.m. as well today, and the number there is 949-6555. At 4:30 p.m. today will be the next NEOC meeting. So I guess I think it's 4:30 p.m. today, so they'll assess what's going on, how things are looking, and what possibly might need to be done next.
Yeah. I think based on what we're seeing happening so far, there hasn't been any significant change as far as the system is concerned. And one of the things that I wanted to ask Raymond before he left was whether or not, because of course during the day, the water, the surface of the water and the water temperature on the surface is much warmer than during the night, and whether or not the nightfall may have any effect on the system itself. I'm not sure. But so far, we're not seeing any significant changes, whatsoever. So I doubt, even though that may change, that the next report that we get, basically, the same preparations that we were advised to make before would still stand.
Absolutely, and that next report should be coming in at 4 p.m. this afternoon.
Yes.
Stay tuned to Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. You can stream online at radiocayman.gov.ky. Also, we have an app. Just go to the App Store, Google Play Store for Android, the App Store on iPhones, and it is Radio Cayman. Just look for the app, and you can stream us via the app as well. So that's another very handy thing. If a lot of people don't have the traditional, radios back in their home anymore, although you should for your hurricane prep.
Yes.
But
battery-operated radio.
Absolutely. So if you don't, you can always download our app. Keep attention to what's going on, because we're going to be giving you that news. We do have a dedicated on-air team and news team that will be working throughout the night into the morning, giving you updates as soon as we get them and letting you know what's going on.
Okay, and we have 89.9, and then we have 105.3, which would we advise them to tune in more.
Right. If you find us off air on Radio Cayman, because that happened with Grace.
Okay. Yeah.
Switch over to 105.3, because that's where all of our news and updates will be as well. We'll be live on 105.3.
Good to know.
All right.
Okay.
Any
and
last
as far
words?
as For the Record is concerned, I will converse with management to see whether or not, if weather conditions allow, whether I should be in the morning or not. But as usual, Radio Cayman would like to keep you informed, keep you up to date. So if that is at all possible, I will be here, God's willing.
God's willing. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yep.
Thank you for Susan for working with us today, and for our guests and everybody who's called in and who sent us messages.
And stay safe and follow all of the instructions that you will receive.
And with that, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.